well, I'd rather be going with the movement than getting hit by both ends. I mean, sure, we want a savior. Everyone wants to be saved. Everyone wants something to ride in and save you and then make it all right. You know, but truly, if you are what you're looking for, the saviors have to fail you. Yeah, because that's one out of many things that have to drop for you to recognize you are what you're looking for. Yeah? If you keep finding replacements, putting that off, you are, oh, he is what I'm looking for. And then, you know, the weirdness happens, the inner circle, they're telling everyone complete celibacy and they're fornicating like left and right, and you get a little confused, and it's basically do as I say, not as I do, you know, and then so you leave, fucking it served you in a way. It failed you because you made someone else what you're looking for. But it says you, what's looking is what you're looking for. Yeah? You are what you're looking for. As what we are, not as who I am, as what we are. So I feel, in a way, every time, like they used to say in the Old Testament, God will not brook any false gods. Yeah. So if you keep putting out the beauty of this life, it'll fail you, and that's what the whole systems that fail you are. Their value is they show you they're failed. So you're suddenly, finally left with your own devices, and maybe you'll see they're not your own devices. And instead of using what you're not to look for what you are, you'll see what you're not, doing that from what you are. A simple little shift that makes all the difference in the world. Yeah? All the difference in the world. When it gets, you know, you're frustrated, fucking, I've been to 800 of these talks, you know, when am I gonna fucking get it? You know, and then you could be totally immersed in it completely, but you have the tiniest little concept of it is a blindness to it. Yeah? When is it going to stabilize? When is it going to just smooth everything out for me? I don't care about feeling it now. Will I be feeling it tomorrow? You know, all while pledging allegiance to the whole failed system. Yeah. So here's a beautiful thing. This is Ramana Maharshi, you know, and who knows how many things this was written through, you know, but here he says, this is a great master. And he goes, the guy goes, you know, he's asked a lot of question and answers. So someone's asking him, cannot grace hasten such competence in a seeker? Yeah. You know, in other words, feeling like you are the sort, let's say. Yeah? And he goes, leave it to him, the power, yes? Surrender unreservedly. Yeah? One of two things must be done. This is how he saw it. Either surrender because you admit your inability and also require a higher power to help you. That's sort of captured in the AA way, in the recovery way. That's exactly what recovery is about. Exactly. Even uses the same words in a sense. It says, either surrender because you admit your inability. I'm not managerial quality. It's not going to work. I'm not going to pull it off. Yeah? This isn't going to arrive at the promised land. Yeah? Heaven isn't a golf course. So, either surrender, why? Because you admit inability. Yeah? So the surrender isn't, everyone's not, you know. Usually there's something there's a pre-surrender, which is you're fucked, basically, by your own wits. Yeah? There was this person, I used to speak outside of Boston, and I went to these people's house to stay, and then she told me this incredible story. And this guy that had grown up in the neighborhood One day the police came to our house, and it was a huge front yard. You couldn't even see the street from the yard, from the door. And they knocked on the door, and they said, they brought her out, and there was a guy hanging there. Yeah? And he knew, he had grown up in the area, and the name of the street was At Wit's End. And he killed himself because he was at wit's end. At least that's fucking autistic, yeah? I mean, seriously. That's fucking, at least, but here you are. So it may, at wit's end, yeah, when there's a reliance on you, may lead to that condition of killing oneself. But the wit's end is an incredible place because you realize what you've been relying on is unreliable, yeah? And that this, which is unreliable, isn't you. So you don't have to kill you to get out of it, yeah? You see it as other, and therefore, oh, I don't have to get relief, yes? I can sort of, hey, I'm not that, and then immediately, it's like a dam ready to break. It's just pregnantly available, but you have to see something first. I'm not that. And then when you see I'm not that, you can be free from it. Where he was like, I've got to be free from it this way. No, you can be free from it. Yeah? And so that it's the starting point is at wit's end. You think it's the end, but it's the starting point. That's going to serve you unbelievably. And he's saying it here, this is the great master, Ramana Maharshi. He's speaking to different people all the time. He doesn't stick with one shtick. He talks to the people where they're seemingly at. Yeah? And he's saying, hey, listen, leave it to this power. Surrender unreservedly. Yeah? One of two things must be done. That's not that many, isn't it? Can you imagine? Could you imagine if there was a possibility and the person who was leading it to the possibility says, just one or two things. You don't even have to do two things. One of them. One of the either or. We're not even going to pile on with two. Just one of two things. Right? Oh, come on. That's way too much. Fuck. I thought it was going to be, when's it going to stabilize? So he goes, either surrender because you admit your inability. This is how it went with me. This is how it went when I got struck sober. I couldn't admit my inability. Something recognized that, and then it admitted it somewhere, not in the thought system. I think they call it the innermost in recovery to point to some other unsuspected place in you. Not the fucking viper's nest of the mental state, yeah? But somewhere, and something downloaded that I'm fucked to that place. And luckily, I had no idea, but I have the ability to be convinced, and I actually believe all of us do in that innermost. This, no way, Jose. No way, because it's convinced, unconvinced, yes? It's dualistic. It cannot be absolutely rooted in anything. It just gets, But the innermost is a different little pot, so to speak. When there's a planting of surrender there, yeah, and the clarity that you're not managerial quality. I mean, you're not going to get it. You know, it's just done. And it doesn't come up for review every 6 months, or maybe it's changed, you know. No, it's just a dead point. Yeah, it's been proven beyond fucking doubt that you just can't pull this off. You can't. If you could, you would have already. You can't, oh, I just need, no, you don't need. You need a whole lot more than that one next new thing. You do. Because the next new thing is going to lead to another next new bigger thing. And so on and so forth. Because we keep putting off, we want to be fucking saved. Yeah. If we can't produce it, we're not that interested in it. And this is you are what you're looking for. It doesn't say you're going to become what you've been looking for. Yeah. And then you have to meet someone to tell you how many requirements you're going to have to do to get to be what you're looking for. It says you are, right now, what's looking is what you're looking for. Now, you can disagree with St. Francis' assessment, or you can agree with it, but he put it out there very clearly. It wasn't like a big debate. He just says, what's looking is what you're looking for. And he's really trying to save you some time, a lot of time, because you're going to keep looking for what's looking outside. Yeah. You want to be saved by something outside. Yeah. And therefore, but the Savior, there's no need to be saved. That's why there's no need for Saviors, except to fail us, really. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. So he goes, either surrender because you admit your inability and also require a higher power to help you. That's me completely. That's the whole attitude and outlook that got established in recovery. Completely. It's perfect in one sentence, coming from a guy in fucking India who lived his whole life in diapers. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he captured perfectly. Admit your inability and also require a higher power to help you. It's not a maudlin, nihilistic, totally depressive state. It's a fucking hallelujah. You admit, yeah, that you're not going to pull it off. Yet, you may call what that power is. A higher power can do what you can't do for yourself. Beautiful, eh? It's like you're the plug, or anyway, but the way you're going to get it is by thinking you're plugging into a higher power, which is only you in disguise, really. I mean, you are the higher power. That's what's looking. Yeah, so to help you, or this is the other way. Yeah, investigate into the cause of misery. Investigate into the cause of misery. It's not family. It's not this didn't go your way. You may think it is at that moment, but the cause isn't that. Those are the way it expresses, which will be myriad in number. Just like when Jesus confronted the guy possessed, and the guy asked him, who are you? He says, I'm Legion. Yes? This is what happens when you don't see the cause of misery. You're going to have a lot of fucking reasons for misery. Yeah? But the cause. So he says it beautifully. Investigate into the cause of misery. Investigate into it. Yeah. Just sort of like, you've been at a lot of fires. You needed a lot of pails of water. Doesn't it seem suspicious that you're always are at the fires? You know, maybe you have a big role, or it could be even seen as the cause of the fire starting. Yeah, what? Yeah, you've now investigated, and you come to one of the causes of your misery. Yeah. You want to get clearer about it? You're relying on something that's unreliable. Yeah. You're living in what's not happening. The basic condition is misery, and you live on the hope that you won't be miserable someday. But the basic premise starts out as misery, and yet you're living on the hope that it may not be this bad tomorrow. What a bad deal, eh? So it says, investigate into the cause of misery. Go into the source. Go into the source. Yeah, us. Yeah, what we are. Yeah, into the spirit. He says self. He uses self as the big everything. Yeah, his belief, and the way I read it from a lot of his sayings, says you follow back what you're not, it inevitably takes you back to what you are, because all there is what you are. So if you, instead of going from here this way, you retrace, it always goes back to the same what is. Yeah? Yeah? Zillions of trails always go back, like all roads lead to Rome, if you walk backwards on the road. Yeah? If you go backward, yeah? The starting point of all starting points is that spirit. Yeah? So you investigate the cause of the misery. Yeah, and then hopefully you see you're not the cause of the misery. Yeah, you see that, as they say in recovery, we manufacture our own misery. You see that not to be true. You see, something has captured the factory that I am and is using the facility to manufacture misery, but it ain't me. I'm not the manufacturer of misery. All those cups that said made in Paul, I'm fucking recalling them, yeah? Because they're not mine. Yeah? So I'm reclaiming the facility, and instead of having it manufacture misery, maybe presence, yeah? Maybe like chilled outness, I don't know, maybe being of service. The facility doesn't have to just make one fucking thing. It has the ability to make a lot of qualities, a lot of products, yes? So yeah, you investigate the cause, and when you see the cause, you see you're not that, and then suddenly you run into a beautiful statement from the Course in Miracles. You have now just ran into the effects that are causeless. They're causeless effects. Hallelujah, because if they were real effects and there was a real cause, you'd have to do a whole lot of real fucking work. But you see, they're not real. Yeah. They're called effect. I don't know what he meant in the Course, but how I see it today is a causeless effect is an imagination, a dreaming, a mirage. Yeah, something that isn't so appears to be so, because in a sense we are the real cause of the causeless effects. Yeah. We're taking the causeless effect of false evidence appearing real. We're the ones that make it appear real. We're the cause of the causeless effects. And when we see that we're not that, then the causelessness, you've gotten to the root of it, the effects weaken. Get that, get to the exact nature of the wrong. The nature of the wrong, it's a misperception, basically. Yeah? You're taking yourself to be something that you're not, and then from there, you're taking everything that's being projected in dreaming as a real fucking place. Yeah? Without ever questioning its reality, and just trying to fucking get really good at, running through the hallway of shit and fans. Maybe you could just, if you saw that the hallway of shit and fans don't turn on until you're in the hallway, maybe, when you've seen the door, hallway of shit and fans, hey, maybe I gotta lean in another direction. Maybe, the presence and gratitude hallway. Maybe I'd like to linger in there. Who knows? I don't think we have choice, but I believe there's a leaning. You can lean certain ways, catch the drift, you know what I mean? Yeah. So he goes, inability. So first, just admit you can't get out of it, please. Yeah. Don't buy, I should know that I should be able to get out of this. I should have outgrown this. Don't fucking go for it. Yeah? Just admit your inability. Yeah? Admit it. And so that a power that's unaligned with the mental story can show up and produce an effect, a real effect of being chilled out and being available to yourself and others. That's a real effect. So, or investigate into the cause of misery, go into the source and merge into this source. You don't even have to merge, you are it, yeah? Either way, you will be free from misery. Either way. I love when people love certain masters, but they don't fucking listen to anything they say. Either way, you'll be free of misery. Forever? No, for today. How about that? Yeah. What's more important, forever or today? I would say today is. Today is the most important aspect of forever. For us. It is. Because this is where we're getting battered by causeless effects. We can't seem to get out of the dreaming as the dreamt. Alright, so either way you'll be free from misery. God never forsakes one who has surrendered. Why not live like that, God never, alright, so call it whatever you want. Grace will never forsake one who's surrendered. Yeah? The power is in admittance of powerlessness. That's where the power lies. That's the unadulterated source of juice. How it opens to you, as you, is by the admittance of being powerless. Not a proclaiming that I'm empowered, no. It's the admittance of being powerless. Listen to his direction. If you look at this place of time, he goes from this statement, you surrender not, because you're a chosen one, because you came up against your inability to fucking pull shit off. Really? Like we say in AA, very few people go to AA out of virtue. It's fucking pragmatism. They're fucked. They have nowhere else to go. It's not like, oh, I'm choosing. It's like, no, they backed in. They were being towed. They were thinking, I'm getting out of here, but the tow truck of total, complete demoralization were backing you into the program. Yeah. So he starts off, first see your inability. Instead of rushing, I should know better. No, obviously you shouldn't. Yeah. Just admit your inability to pull it off. And what happens? Find out, and please, when it starts working, at least freaking honor it. Yeah? I mean, you made temples out of resentments that never even happened for 40 fucking years. You've been worshiping there every freaking night. How about a little mobile temple? Hey man, this used to bother me. I moved through it pretty well. Fantastic. Perhaps there's a better way. Trusting something infinite rather than finite self. Yeah? Perhaps there's a better way. Oh, great one. Comment. It just says it all in one sentence. Trusting something infinite rather than finite self. How will I know it's happening? You will know because you'll be traveling lighter. Yeah? The traveling lighter will assure you you're onto something. It's not false hope or wishing. You just chill out and it works. Yeah? So perhaps there's two ways. Yeah? In this point, we're just offering the solution that would look like the result of something as before something. Yeah? But lately, I'll even give up that fucking ghost because I'm just tired of hearing people call me all the time, really being fucked up. And they have tons of spiritual information to begin with. And I really think that having it not translate into traveling lighter, it becomes like dead weight. They're drowning by their own knowledge. They're barely being able to keep their head up above the water. Just do the tried and true mechanism. Go to a soup kitchen, serve someone else, and get out of your head. Yeah? If all else fails, that should fucking pull you out of your ass. You know, it's the one solid divine proctologist that will work. You may not stay, you may go back up seemingly, but at least you'll get a little before you go back. I mean, sometimes I'm willing, all right, that's the big achievement for the day. Just a second or two out of the ass locale. I mean, my target has gone down. I just like to see people. Oh, there are no people. I know that. Yes, but there's a lot of us masquerading as people, and this is a finite amount of time. Do you really want to keep going around this sink? This. It'd be nice just to be able to appreciate just a beauty that gets untouched by all the rabble and all the yakking. The place could be going to hell in a basket, and you just look at a tree, and it's unbelievably, pristinely treed. So in a sense, nothing's ever going to be touched here. Nothing. Why are we acting with such fucking trepidation all day? Like they say in the Course, your attack thoughts are attacking your invulnerability. Yeah? So, if you were invulnerable, would you be afraid of thoughts that were attacking you? So then you must feel you're vulnerable. you can't go one way, go the other way. If you can't see the invulnerability, see the inability first, like he said. So look at, I must feel very vulnerable because I feel like I'm being attacked by these thoughts all day. So obviously the invulnerability isn't noticed, obviously. So you can reverse engineer it. If you don't get the sense of invulnerability, you can realize why, because you feel you're fragile and vulnerable, and therefore you must be taking yourself to be a fucking thing. And you're not that which is taking yourself to be a thing. That's the brain. Yes, you're not that. You don't want to, you're not, why would you want to turn a parasite into a service animal? No, you'd recognize its fucking nature. Yeah? Why work on the brain, trying to convince the brain, where the Course in Miracles sets you free about the whole topic? It says, the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. So the brain's taking information and interpreting the information to you as a body. Let's bypass working on that code, because you're just going to reinforce the code, because it'll be like a body trying to get out of being a body. It's pointless, yeah? Just see it. If you're a real follower of the Course in Miracles, use that one sentence. Your whole story can be described as this. The brain, which is collating all this information, interprets it all to the body of which it is a part. Bad brain, no, it's just fucking fact, That's what do you expect? Do you think it's gonna present quote unquote leaving the body as an easy fucking effortless thing? Of course not. It's going to make it seem impossible to leave the body as the body. The system itself is going to be the last thing that's going to leave the system. Yeah? You can save the whole course. Read the one sentence. Hear it. Trust me. Yeah, seriously, you can trust me on this. The brain interprets to the body. In other words, everything that's taken in is seen as how it pertains to the body. Yes? Body, body, body. So the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. Period. Yeah. Move on. Now, are you confused anymore? Would you waste trying to condition it not to do that when you see it's the source code of the whole system? And that you tinkering with the source code is part of reinforcing the source code? You trying to get out of you is the bigger you that you're in? You don't see it? Well, see it now. See your attempts to escape reinforce the thing you want to escape from. It's said so beautifully with the presupposing of a non-existent thing, wanting to get salvation for the non-existent thing. All right? That's set up. False evidence. What happens when that's the basis? Your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing. So your whole system of getting out is a bigger in. Do you need to see 800 aspects of the system? One will do. You can see the failedness of the system by one example, unless you really like to get beaten over the fucking imaginary head. You can get it like maybe less than 10, 15. It doesn't have to be zillions of fucking evidences. Your head will leap. You'll see, hey, wait a minute. So all this false evidence, yeah, is truly just hoping for the real false evidence to appear real, which is you as the body. Yeah. Even when you start fighting the false evidence, it's you as the body. It's already won, you see? In this condition, you as a body is already established, and now it's just riffing I've seen people now, they weren't doing what they're doing now in their heads when they were 5, 6 years old. They're like fucking Olympic gymnasts. They are doing leaps you couldn't corkscrew up your ass that deeply with such vim and vigor unless there was a lot of habit there. Yes? So here, you see it, right? My wanting to get out and my efforts to get out are reinforcing the in I really want to get out of. Stop there. Let it hit. That's why we say with the spiritual shoe store, if the shoe fits, wear it. Walk out. You don't need any more shoes. Just fucking, if you found if it fits, if this fits, it's time to move on. Yeah, to the. Yeah. You can jump a couple of grades, so to speak. You don't have to keep. You've recognized the failure of the system. Yeah, you don't need. It's sort of like some people I know who I love greatly. They were involved with someone for a long time, and he or she showed their true colors, and yet sometimes my friend is surprised by them doing exactly what they've always done. I mean, obviously, the snake is going to bite you if you're nice to it or not, because it's a snake. So, yeah, we've recognized the nature of what we're not, haven't we? It resides where? Of the mind, yes? Does it speak to us? You better believe it. Through where? The narration. It talks to us as us. That's what it does, yeah. It's not personal. It's not out to get you. It's just the way it functions. It's a failed system. And it has certain source codes that aren't going to be broken. It's captured in this statement, the non-existent self trying to get out of the non-existent self, or trying to get salvation for the non-existent self. In recovery, we call it self can't get out of self, because so many people have tried to get out of self, they come to a clear understanding, self can't get out of self. So this whole wanting to get out of me is a bigger me than the me I'm trying to get out of, yes? I can recognize one me, I don't recognize the other me. The me, the gallant, the heroic me that wants to gallop away from the nasty, vindictive me. It's just the same fucking being. You gotta catch him at least 4 or 5 costume changes. Then you'll see through it. 1 or 2 won't do, because it's got a large store. You can wear a couple more. But after you see maybe 4 or 5 of them, you'll recognize them in all of its costumes. You will. You'll see it. It has to happen. The mind has the ability. It doesn't, 40 bites don't equal a meal, so to speak. It can have 1 bite, and then it can imagine a whole fucking banquet. The mind is unbelievable, yeah? Don't fucking squish it with periods and paragraphs and fucking parentheses, or the greatest of all words, but, B-U-T, which is where the world begins, but. Just let it go. See where it'll take you. If you've seen, hey, I've seen the brain interpreting life to the body 40 times. Do I need to see it 400 million times? I can assume it's probably going to be like that 400 million times. Yes? Do you know what I mean? You can leap from the 40th visit of seeing it to the 400 million of assumption. The assumption is sound. It is. It's based on a sound view. You see it as what it is, and it doesn't change its color. It's just going to keep doing it. Just like you see the mental state, it claims. That's what it does. That's its first move, claiming. So whatever it comes in contact with through consciousness, it says, I'm the one. I'm the one doing it. I'm the one this. I'm the one. Yes, that's what it does. All right, move that aside. Now you know its movement is claiming. How can I recognize it? Well, Use the tried and true fucking narrative, the language being used here, English and Italian. See the word my. There's all of its fucking droppings, like its little scat. You can so you'll see the dog by the shit and realize where the dog is by where the shit is. You can't be that far from the shit. Do you have to study deeply 800 kinds of shit? No, a few samples will tell you there's a fucking dog somewhere. You know what I mean? Go to the dog. You don't want to become a professor of shits. You want to go to the dog. Get rid of the dog. You won't have to pick up shit. You'll travel lighter. You won't be interested in these highfalutin topics anymore because you'll see the pointlessness of it. If this thing needs to be busy, fucking, you know, do crossword puzzles. Don't buy shirts at thrift stores. Just give it mundane chores where it can't be dreaming himself as Napoleon every day. Or Siddhartha. Just typical, very unattractive. Yeah. Let me pick another one. That was so beautiful, this one. I drew some lines on some of these. All right, so here's another old one now. You heard this one too. The pictures, all right, so. The picture in a cinema show, yeah, are only shadowy passing over the screen. They make their appearance, yeah, move forward and backward, change from one to another, and are therefore unreal. Yeah? Whereas the screen all along remains unchanged. So let's say the screen is consciousness, yes? Similarly, with paintings, the images are unreal and the canvas is real. So also with us, the world's phenomena within or without, thoughts, all that, are phenomena. Subtle phenomena, but phenomena. Yeah, so he's saying, the world's phenomena within or without are only passing phenomena, not independent of us. Yeah? Only the habit of looking on them as being real, only the habit of looking on them as being real. So here's the false evidence appearing real. We're in the habit of seeing phenomena as real. We don't get the message that something shows us. Things come and go, therefore they're not real. Real would be something that lasts, yeah? Something that would have its own nature, not be given one by the perceiver, yes? There's a distinct difference. So all right, so now we see the word within or without are only passing phenomena, not independent of us. Only the habit of looking on them as being real and located outside ourselves is responsible for hiding our true being and showing forth the others. Yeah, that's how it goes. Another statement the Course would say, hey, you're infirm in faith and in denying what you are, so you're taking something that you're not to be what you are. There's the mistake. Do you need to have every little curlicue explained? That's the message, yeah? There's an act of being identified as something that you're not, and that act of being identified as something that you're not, seemingly, it appears to what you are to be sufficient to obscure itself from itself. Nothing else could obscure itself from itself, but itself, yeah? In other words, no illusion is going to fool what's real. The only thing that can fool what's real is what's real. So, we're dreaming, we're in cahoots. This isn't like, I'm a victim, this has been forced on me. I'm tied to this fucking reality, I'm getting hit back and forth. No, you're dreaming. Yeah, why not just at least feel a little bit of accountability? Hey, so you won't have, you'll save a lot of phone fucking, unless you have unlimited phones. Before, you'd save a lot of phone bills because you won't be bitching about shit that you're very clear you don't want to change anyway. Yeah? I mean, I've had so many people tell me they want to leave, but they never do. And then they put on requirements. I want a stare guaranteed before I step out. Well, you're going to fucking be stuck where you are for a long time. You better step out and then a stare will appear. Yeah? So, you don't mind this? I like this. I'm enjoying it myself. So only the habit of looking on them as being real. So it's a habit. We're in the habit of taking false evidence to be real. Yeah? We are. It's a habit. So only the habit of looking on them as being real and located outside ourselves is responsible, because of course, when what's bothering you can be located outside yourself, you can fucking blame it. You can cop a resentment. You can feel like a victim. You can feel powerless, yeah, but not an admittance of powerlessness, but a feeling of powerlessness. Usually produced by you assume you have power where you don't. When you experience powerlessness is when you're trying to exert power. You don't experience powerlessness when you admit powerlessness. It's when you're trying to exert power and you don't have it, that's when you're frustrated. That's why you're fucking feeling like they're picking on me and shit like that. It's only because there's an assumption you have real power to override these people, yet you don't. Yeah. So, the ever-present, this is so nice, for hiding our true being and showing forth the other. So this is what's responsible. It's what we are. It's reality taking something that's not real to be real, basically. Yeah? So he goes like this. So, outside ourselves, for hiding out, it says, the ever-present only reality being found, all other unreal things will disappear, leaving behind the knowledge that they are no other than you, really. Yeah? So the dreaming realizes it's the dreaming. Every last bit of it. Yeah? It doesn't have to go through every last bit. It's a, yes? It's like, it wasn't like I admitted I'm not managerial quality and then I looked at all the exceptions. No, it was a pretty much of a blanket understanding. There was no monthly review planned. It was sort of like, it's past the point. You're not going to pull it off, Paul. It's just that simple. You just get, so I admitted my inability. Somehow, you want to call it a higher power. I suddenly realized, like they say in AA, that something can do for me what I can't do for myself. Now, what would a wise person do if that occurred, and they had any semblance of free will, which I don't believe, but you believe you do. So here, that you saw that something did for you what you can't do for yourself. Wouldn't you expand on what you can't do for yourself? I would fucking throw more shit in the grease pit, so to speak. You know what I mean? I would think, I got a parking space, keep it. And then it would be conditional. Not in San Francisco, but, no. That would be, no, throw more. Yeah? And then now you get into the habit of realizing that something's doing for you what you can't do for yourself. It's a nice fucking view. Yeah, it is. It doesn't demand much, because all the information is there. All of us have enough fucking wood for the bonfire. We're ready to go up, man. It's overdoing it mostly now. All you need is a triggering, yeah? And that aha that you feel was so ephemeral and is gone, it's echoing now. The same aha I felt when I heard this message 20-something years ago is still echoing. It's never been lost. It's never stopped. It's always available at all times right where you are, with no requirement necessary to meet it, because you missed the point, you are it. Yeah? If you think you're a you that needs to meet this you, that's a lot of you. Yeah? This is just recognizing what you're not, and then a finding out of what you are. It's not you arrive at what you are, you never left. Yeah? It's just a finding out. Now that The obscuring doesn't have to go. It doesn't have to stop. It doesn't. None of it. None of it. There are no requirements to being what you are. You are it. Yeah? It's done. Bah, bah. And there's nothing that can revoke it. Nothing. There's nothing that you, as what you're not, can do to exile yourself from what you are. There's no fucking way. So, one more little thing. Let me see if I can find another one. The only reason why I find these is because I highlighted them years ago. I really like this book. I got this when I was, not this one, in India, a long time ago. I really liked it. I read it through many times. Because you would read it and he's talking to so many different people, but then you'd run into a giant nugget, you know. Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. I wanted to get that one with the, like most books, I didn't read it all the way through, so the highlighting ends after like page 30. After page 30, I know, I don't need any more. That's the beauty of this stuff. You don't need much. All right, so here. Yeah, this is what happened with me, right here. He says it here. The guy is asking him a question. He goes, on what should we meditate? And he goes, who is the meditator? Ask that question first. Remain as the meditator. There is no need to meditate. If you read him, he goes on little riffs where he never lets a person get even a question out. He turns it right on him, just like this. It keeps turning it. But the horse, you know, you see the horse in front of the cart. Stop trying to get the horse from here in front of the cart, yeah? You see the horse in front of the cart, yeah? What we see is we want to get the horse in front of the cart. But you'll see the horse is in front of the cart. And that you wanted to get it is the cart in front of the horse. See? You're taking the cart as really in front of the horse, trying to get the horse in front of it. You just see that as not so. Yeah. And then start there. Well, start with the idea on having never left. That's a beautiful one. On having never left, how's the day going to go? I don't know. Find out. Yeah. So, hey, that's it, I guess. Huh?
Any questions?
No. Do I?
Do you have any questions?
Let's see, do I have any questions? No. I haven't had one in a long time. My last question was in Tiruvannamalai, 2000, I think. That's the last question I've had.
What was it?
I don't know. Probably wasn't too monumental. But I knew then it was pointless. Don't you ever get to that thing? Don't you get, you've seen enough. And then there's you know, that's the free ranging stuff, yeah. The free range is when you've heard enough, you've seen enough, yeah. Then you don't camp there, there's a move after that, yeah. You make a leap, and the understanding that you're screwed is incredibly valuable as this, yeah, to me, you know. I think the whole way is the negative way. I do. I think you should just learn about what you're not, recognize what you're not. Don't spend any time trying to recognize what you are. Recognize what you're not. And then with this knowledge, with the understanding, you'll see I'm not that. And then that's that. Yeah? And you'll get into the habit of seeing what you're not. And you won't have to do much about it. You just see what you're not, because that's what's happening. What you're not is what's arising. What you are doesn't arise. What you're not arises. What you are is there to see it. What you're not is never going to see what's seeing it. What you're not is never going to see what's seeing it. But what's seeing it is never going to miss what you're not. Because it's there when what you're not's arising. Yeah? The movie's over, screen's there. Middle of the movie, screen there. Before the movie, screen's there. Yeah? Now you get a sense of reality by seeing what's unreal. That's how you get a sense of it. Yeah? You see what's temporary and it intimates what's not temporary. That's how you go. You don't go to the infinite, you see finiteness. And then the finite intimates your own nature. Yeah? The negation of the finite intimates your nature of infinite. Yeah? So you find out what you are by seeing what you're not. That's how it goes. In my sense, yeah? Not mine, in this sense. This is how it's worked with me. I saw what I'm not. It's just like this. I admitted an inability. Yeah? And in that point, something that was always available became available. It was always available, but it became available at that moment. Yeah? When I stopped using this to find what I am was found. Yeah? So, we attempt to stay with this thing because I don't want to switch. It doesn't make any sense. Because as soon as you start looking for what you are, it's going to be used to emphasize what you're not. It's not like it's your mistake. It's the mistake of the system. The system has many aberrations. It doesn't work, so it glitches out. And you as the system can't work on the system. It's just, yeah? Self can't get out of self. You can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. It's just, that's how it goes. I mean, you can bitch and say anything you want. You're not going past those points. Those points are going to stop you completely. Yeah? They're going to stop you. You're not going to pull it off using the Buddha to seek the Buddha if you're the Buddha. It's just not going to work. Yes? That's the beauty of the message. The message fucking stops you. Yeah? The failedness of it all, to me, it's like a rude awakening. The rudeness of the awakening is this isn't ever going to get it. Yeah? And it's like, oh, it's like hallelujah, really. It's like hallelujah, because you're like, it sure wasn't working anyway, so now I can just get off this dead horse. Yes, that's the appropriate fucking thing to do. Stop feeding it oats. It's not going anywhere. Yeah, just get off the dead horse.
That's what's funny about what I'm not trying to see, what it's not, because it wants to have a nice example.
Yeah.
Like with the people pleasing.
Yeah.
But there's the wanting to jump ahead because if I can see that I've been people pleasing, so I'm not that.
Yes.
But then I'm the bad thing that
Yeah.
I am the people pleaser.
Well, having what you're not, trying to see what it's not, is pointless.
Yeah, that's what's
We try to say this all the time. It's pointless.
well, it's weird.
It's weird, but it's pointless also. The underlying thing is, what you're not is never going to catch what it's not. Yeah. All I can do is negate itself. Yeah? So that's why who am I is good, because it's what you're not asking what you're not. Who is it? And then when it just goes, yee, then it's obvious you're that space. Yes, yeah. There's no very. You don't finally, oh, it's me. No. No one arises and proclaims it's you.
And sometimes,
What?
sometimes when I first started inquiry, I'm like, oh, that's what I am, everlasting, and then that became a thing.
Yes, I know. Yeah, of course. That's the thing. It's relentless because it can't get out of the source code. It truly believes it can get out of itself. It can. It believes, even when you hear people speak about the soul, they think they're leaving. They think they're leaving this situation. They're going to get out. It's the same. It's the basic code. Self wanting believing he can get out of self. The whole idea of a soul is self-talking like it can get out of self. So I'm going to leave, but, you know, and then go on and have another life and on and on. Yeah? That's one of the ultimate selves wanting to get out of self. Yeah? The system has, that's its fucking aberration. It doesn't get it. Yeah? That's why when that goes, and then you see it from outside the system, that's the free sample, yeah. You finally see what you're not. Yeah. Yeah. And then what occurs, you're not trying to get out of you as you anymore. It really precipitously drops because you've seen through the fucking source code, that's all. You've seen the pointlessness of trying to get out of what you're not. You don't have to get out of it. Yeah, you're not in it. Yeah, but it feels like it. I don't give a shit. I know it feels like it, but you're not in it. But I was in it, and I know I'm gonna be in it. No, I'm not buying that one either. Yeah, you're not in it. It's not you. You don't think you can have that absolute view? Of course you can. You can see enough of what you're not to just lead to I'm not that. I don't care if it fucking wears my old Little League fucking all-star uniform. I'm not that. You know what I mean? I don't care. Yeah? I'm not saying I'm not that. I just know it. I don't care if what I'm not totally believes it's that. It still doesn't matter. Yeah? Yes? You don't see that there's an aspect of you that's of screen? It doesn't give a shit if all your characterizations 100% believe the film is true, there's still an untruthfulness to it. Yeah? Yeah? None of what you're not has to get it. It doesn't. You can wait it out. It's going to be 80 years of the charade. It's going to be all washed away because it has never been so. Yeah? Literally. It's never been so. One of the times it hit me sufficiently to stop Paul, it told me as clear as day it's always been this way. It was one of the finalist things I've ever just came over me. It's always been this way. Even though a minute before it seemed like I was being operated on by the doctors and everything like that, it just negated that. Any possibility that my head could come up with memory or future memory was negated. It's always been this way. Nothing has ever happened contrary to this state. All right? Oh, but I still believe it's happening. I don't care. You're not that. Yeah? I really don't. I go out kicking and screaming. I still don't care. There's an innermost aspect somewhere that knows this isn't so. I don't give a shit. If all the lie detectors would see me lying as this, I don't care. Well, I know from somewhere else that this isn't so. Does this know it all the time? Probably not. I don't care. But it was because I didn't need to know it all the time. I knew it in that timeless moment. And in that timeless moment, it told me it's always, always been this way. Therefore, nothing ever happened, nor will ever happen. Yeah, I don't care. Oh, but you're not having it in your daily, I don't know. Why would you want to be ripped off? You're on this ride. Yeah, why would you want to not be here while you're here? You might as well just sort of be used and do your little thing. It's going to be over soon enough. Just like today is, yeah. Everything is past. You're Genoas of thought in your mind. You're not in Genoa now, you're here. We're here. Yeah. And if you're having to think of being at B-Star, you're here still. You're not at dinner yet.
We better think about it.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. That's it.